were trying to see, sort of what might go forward this year. And given the, the plans they have, the capacity they have to hire, as you can imagine, when these departments have grown small, hiring gets more difficult too, because those people are called upon to do the hiring.
I think when you use the terminology like the department has grown small, that displaces the idea. It creates the idea that the department itself took some kind of agency in making itself smaller. And what really is happening is the disinvestment of the university and the flight of faculty of color and faculty that do that kind of work in those departments have left, and it's something wrong with the institution and not something inherent with the departments themselves, that they have just grown.
Yeah, I certainly didn't mean to imply that.
I'm not trying to play semantics. I want you to look at me. To look at me.
Right. But I'm not.
I want you to listen to me as
Yeah?
And I want just a short answer, because we've heard a lot of words. We've heard a great many words. But I'm still not convinced. Do you feel as though the condition of Chicano Latino studies at the University of Minnesota is acceptable?
No, I don't think a department of one Jewish person is viable.
And so far what we've heard, it would be acceptable for someone that was appointed half-time in Chicano Latino studies to kind of fill that niche. And to me that isn't acceptable.
Well, I don't know where you heard that, because I didn't say that.
You just said that Dean Coleman had talked about someone coming in and a half-time appointment in Jewish and a half-time appointment in Chicano studies. So, and I'm not hearing anything substantive about new faculty coming to be a part of that department and actually grow that department.
Well, then let me repeat the claim that we have been working on hiring for rigs, which would involve bringing in people who are specialists in Chicano studies.
I understand what you're saying. You're talking about rigs.
Those are separate demands, and that's why we want to talk about each demand individually, because RIGS is addressing our fourth demand, not our first demand. And when we're talking about, I'm sorry to cut you off, when we're talking about Chicano studies, when you say that there's a potential for one of those RIGS people to be specialized in Chicano studies, that's still not a commitment to give Chicano studies more faculty. And we are aware that Lina Palacios is coming to this university, but that does not include her, somebody filling the position of Luis Mendoza, who already left. So I echo what, what my friend is saying here in terms of us getting the runaround in terms of addressing this demand in this position.
Could I just say something though about why this isn't a kind of runaround when I say that it is that hiring a large number of people is something that you have to expect takes place over time. I'm not saying that's the fault of the people who are then the experts in the area who are doing the hiring, but it is just a fact. If you only have one faculty member left, and they have to play a crucial role in all of what goes on in the hiring of the faculty person, reviewing applications, briefing and reporting folks. It's an enormous expenditure of energy. So when a department becomes small, perhaps because it's been starved, whatever reason, it is harder for it to build back up. And we have to expect it's a process that takes time.
I'm hearing this kind of distancing as though you didn't know what was happening. I am not trying to make this polemic as I don't like you or anything like that. What I'm saying is that this department has just kind of grown small out there in the nether regions where it has always been historically located. And I want to know how you're going to address the mechanisms and the ways in which that department has gotten to the state that it's in now. Did you not know? I mean, was there some kind of catastrophic something that happened? How is the university taking action to make sure that that doesn't happen? And what we're proposing is that we have more faculty come, and you said it's going to take a long time. Okay, so looking backward, how did we get here?
Well, there were two faculty members. I mean, let's face it, that was the size of the department before, and Lewis left. And now CLA is in the process of trying to rebuild. Actually, it's not department that's had a lot of faculty loss. It's trying to rebuild. It recognizes this as a special case because the department is not at a viable size, not through any fault of its own. It's just not. That one faculty person is not viable, and they recognize that. So they are working on it, but it's, faculty hiring takes about a year.
Can we talk about geography then? Because, you say it takes a lot of time and, for example, the example of geography, they did a search for faculty, and then they came back to Dean Coleman and they told him, we have several candidates, excellent candidates, that can, fill this position. So they were given 4 faculty lines to hire. Well, we have Chicano Studies in a similar position where they need faculty, right? And they could easily do a job search, and we will definitely get excellent candidates because there are plenty scholars in the area of Chicano Latino Studies out there who are excellent. But the assumption not only is that it's a process that's too difficult and that they might not even have the people to do the search, but also that there wouldn't be enough candidates for us to get in one search, or the search for like 2 faculty lines or 3 faculty lines, the amount of candidates that they would need in order to start rebuilding the department. So the delaying this process is only going to continue to put stress on the department. And what we talked about with President Kaler is that the reason why Luis Mendoza left, like we said, it wasn't just, an accident. He specifically outlined in his letter when he left that the reasons why he left were because there wasn't support for Chicano Studies, because of the conditions that there are at this university. We have faculty in that department. In the past, Chicano Studies has had faculty come and they left within a year because of the conditions here. So new hires in that department have also left as a result of the conditions that are here. So that is why we are proposing that multiple people be hired at once, because not only is it not viable as a department, but it's not a space that is a safe space or a space in which faculty can actually thrive. And like we said, it's not just about surviving at this university, it's about living. So to say that, that 1 or 2 professors might, strengthen the department, we know that that's not necessarily going to be the case, and that multiple faculty need to be hired. And I think if you spoke to the chair, which, has talked about hiring faculty to you all on multiple occasions, I think that there would be a committee who would step forward of faculty across the university who support Chicano Latino Studies to do that search, and to do that search for more than 1 faculty. In the case of geography, they found candidates, just doing 1 search in 1 year, So why is it that Chicano Latino Studies is assumed to be unable to do that?
Okay, I actually don't know the details about the geography hire, about whether or not, how people went to the dean and, what the circumstances were. So I actually don't have anything useful to say about the comparison, because I really just don't know. Isn't, that we don't have oversight of that, the college does. But I think you're right that, there are people who would cooperate on a search and serve on a search committee, and it may well be that more than 1 candidate could be identified. I think that's probably true.
So in terms of getting a commitment from you as provost and from Dean Coleman, can there be a written commitment from you in terms of saying that you support there being a search for faculty in Chicano Latino Studies, not just for this year, which would be a search for 2 years, but in the coming years, a commitment for more faculty?
Well, again, I think this is something that if we should sit down with Dean Coleman about. I don't know why there's been a delay in, normally when somebody knows that somebody is departing a department, there would be, if it was thought that, it wasn't viable to have the department at the reduced size, you might have made some plans immediately to begin with hiring. There was a transition in the college, and that may have been the reason why things might have been put on hold. What his specific plans are, something I think I would be happy to sit down with you and Dean Coleman and see what he might be willing to have in writing about his plans for hiring. I mean, frankly, it's news to me that many people were going into geography.
Is he on his way here, or when can we expect to speak to Dean Coleman and you at the same time?
Set up an appointment.
Okay, well, we'll be here, so I think we have